Hi, this is Geshe Michael Roach, and welcome to the invitation event for DCI Level 6. I'm going to show you a picture here. This is the traditional cover for this level that we chose. And the name for the level is called Freedom from Addiction, Stopping the Downward Cycle. And I thought you might like to know the process that we go through to create these levels. And this level on addiction was requested 6 years ago by a group when we were doing world tours. By the way, which we're continuing, I think, in a week. We're starting back on our world tours. And we had a group that requested a DCI management training about addiction. And we did create a whole manual. It's a couple hundred pages. And it covers a very, I think, unique and powerful method of stopping our addictions. And then what happens with DCI trainings is they never stop, they never freeze. We keep developing them, we keep improving them. We get feedback from people, and then we work hard and we try to improve the training again and again and again. And I think every single time we give the training, it's different. If you've ever come to a DCI training, you know that. We keep developing. And I'd say that two things are happening. Number one, we have a huge project that for 35 years to save the ancient literature of the eastern part of our world. We have saved, I don't know, over 20,000 books now. They are free online. And we have a huge team working to digitalize them and then to translate them. So we get new ideas, we get new inspiration every single day. And we improve our trainings. That's one thing. And then secondly, we give the trainings all over the world, and then people who take the trainings, and our many teachers. Now we have a college producing teachers of DCI. In fact, we're training 125 right now, and they give us feedback. So the feedback we got about this level, which is called Freedom from Addiction, and I'm going to show you in the next picture here. It's that people, when they started to examine their heart and they examined their life, they realized, Geshe, I don't really have an addiction. You know, I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't have an alcohol addiction. We got a lot of clients saying, I have relatives who have serious gambling addiction or they have a serious alcohol addiction. But I myself, I don't really have an addiction. But, and then there's always this big but. And they would say, but I have some bad habits. And, you know, they're not as serious as an addiction. They're not something that's going to ruin my life or something like that. But I know they do lower the quality of my life. I know I would be happier. I know I would be more successful if I could stop these bad habits that I have. So a lot of people came to us after the first few times we gave this training, and they said, it sounds great for addictions, but what about people like us? We just have bad habits. You know, we have a lot of bad habits. And so we started to explore here at the home office, what's the difference between an addiction and a bad habit? And can we develop a way to get a higher quality of life and a higher level of happiness every day of the year by looking at our bad habits? So right now, in this kind of invitation to the invitation event, okay, I'd say check your life. Give it a thought right now at this moment. You know, think to yourself, do I have any addictions? If you have an addiction, you know it, trust me. If it's a serious addiction, it's really ruining your life. And then, but do you have bad habits? Do you have smaller bad habits that are degrading the quality of your life? They are making your life not so happy. So I think we'd like to get rid of both of those. Maybe we do have an addiction or two. I think two addictions is about maximum serious addictions. And then, but do I have these kind of bothersome bad habits that if I could find a new way to overcome them, I would be so much happier. My quality of life would rise, okay? So we're going to, first of all, when we go through the invitation event, we'll be looking in the mirror at ourselves. And, nobody can really tell you that you have an addiction or a bad habit. It's people can say, I don't think you should be doing so much of that or that. But in the end, the only person who can really talk to you is yourself. You have to be super, super honest. And the big thing about addictions and the big thing about bad habits is that we don't want to admit that we have it. And we'll do anything to avoid admitting that we have it. It's a big, big step to improve our life and to be successful and happy. And I know, because I worked on it my whole life with this ancient wisdom. And it's just this huge honesty to look yourself in the mirror and say, yeah, I do have this addiction, or I do have this bad habit. If you can just say that much in the mirror to yourself, you're on the road to smashing those addictions, and you're on the road to stopping those bad habits. I'm going to show you another picture here. This is kind of what's the difference between an addiction and a bad habit. Okay, what's the addiction between an addiction and a bad habit? And in my heart, in my mind, and I do have addictions. I think we all have addictions. And I have a lot more bad habits. And I think all of us, it would help to think about what's the difference between an addiction and a bad habit. So I got here two pictures. I think this is kind of tells the story of my life. There's the serious addictions, like if it might be alcohol, it might be gambling, it might be cigarettes, it could be many things. Okay, there are emotional addictions to low self-esteem or codependence. But in my mind, the lady on the left side, she's got an alcohol addiction, and alcohol frequently expresses itself as a real addiction. It takes over your life. It's something that's very hard to admit that you have an addiction. Unfortunately, it is accepted in most of our cultures in the world. Drinking, casual drinking is very much a part of life in many, many countries. But it easily becomes an addiction. There are certain things like alcohol that just are, I don't know, they're very, very addicting. I have a friend in Mexico. He has a son, and he and his wife don't allow the son to have sugar, like pastries and donuts and things like that. They don't allow they don't give it to the child. And I took them out to a little cafe for breakfast. And I remember, I don't know, they brought us some kind of Mexican pastries or something. And I thought, let's give a bite to the young boy. He's, I don't know, he's 6 or 7 or something. And I gave him a little piece of the pastry. And then he asked for another one. And then he asked for another one. And then he asked for another one. And then he started yelling and screaming And I was thinking, oh my gosh, there's certain things in the world, like sweets or alcohol or tobacco, these quickly get us addicted, okay? And then on the other picture here, this guy reminds me, no, go back one picture, you guys. Yeah, the guy with his cluttered desk, okay? To me, that's a bad habit, That's just a bad habit. And he's trying to find something, and my wife was asking me last night, are you ever going to clean that desk? And I'm like, I don't know, I need everything on the desk. She says, are you sure? And we have a bad habit, it's cluttered. So what's the difference between these two things that we see here? What's the difference between an addiction and a bad habit? And I would immediately answer, and I think everybody would, that the addiction is more serious. It can ruin her life. It can ruin her family's life. It can hurt her children, ruin her finances, ruin her career. And then cluttered, the bad habit on the right side of the guy with the cluttered desk, that's what I would classify. And I think you would too. It's just a bad habit. If he didn't have that bad habit, he would be much more productive. And you can see sort of a confused look on his face. And I think that's what bad habits do to us. Now, the point of this level that we're inviting you to is that we expanded it. We expanded the level from a few years ago. We have added, can we identify our bad habits and not just our very serious addictions? Can we learn to look at ourselves in the mirror and identify those bad habits? And then is there a unique, special, unheard of, ancient method that we can all use to get rid of not just our addictions, but bad habits? Maybe a number of bad habits is equal to an addiction, I think. Okay, yeah. So here's the next picture here is a young man with some alcohol. And I think if I was trying to think of the difference between a bad habit and an addiction, I think there's a difference in the trouble they make for us. So if you ask somebody, what's the difference between an addiction and a bad habit? I think it's how much trouble does it cause to us? How much trouble does it give to us? My parents were both alcoholics, so it's been a lifelong interest in addiction. And they were nice people. I believe they were both nice people. They were good people. And I really loved them, and they were wonderful parents, but they were both alcoholics. And I saw the degree of trouble. It killed them physically. I believe the alcohol killed them. And it also ruined a big part of their lives. And, I think an addiction, the difference between an addiction and a bad habit, an addiction has the power to ruin your marriage, to break up your family, to get you fired from your job, to make you lose your income. And then a bad habit, I don't know, it's just like an insect that's bothering you, Like it's summertime right now in Arizona, and there's all these insects that get into the house, and they're like mosquitoes, and there's bad habits, they keep bothering you, and you get distracted, and you can't focus. And I think our quality of life is really hurt by bad habits. So let's attack those two. All right, next picture. I think there's a difference between an addiction and a bad habit of how much does the addiction or the bad habit affect other people. You see what I mean? And I think what we're going to learn in DCI level 6 about addiction one of the parts of the definition of addiction is that it has a big impact on the other people in our life, in our family, our colleagues at work, even just our neighbors. When you have a serious addiction, it has a serious impact on other people. It's not just ourselves. So that's another difference between, I think, an addiction and a bad habit. You know, if you have lived with a person who has an addiction, or if you've had an addiction and you've watched the effect on your family or your loved ones or your colleagues, it hurts other people, okay? It hurts other people. Sometimes I think that if we cannot stop an addiction for ourselves, maybe we could stop it because it hurts other people. You see, like maybe if it hurts me, I can be tough and I can survive. But what if it hurts other people? What if your addiction is hurting other people? It seems somehow wrong to hurt your kids, or to hurt your wife or husband, or to hurt your colleagues at work because of your addictions. You see, if I can't stop an addiction because it's hurting me, can I at least think about not hurting other people? It's not fair to my family or my workmates if I'm not able to work well, or if I'm not able to function well in the family because of an addiction that I have. So I think there's that difference. A bad habit, like my discussion with my wife this morning, we do couch time every morning. We make coffee, we sit on the couch. It's just about the only time of the day that we can spend some quality time together because we're both so busy. But we have a rule that we make our coffee, we sit down, and we sit on the couch. The couch faces my desk, and then there's the window, and then there's a beautiful, beautiful view. We live on a mountain over a desert, and it's an incredible view of a huge national park. But she's not seeing the beauty of the desert today, or the dawn. She's seeing the mess on my desk, you know, the clutter, bad habit. And then that also hurts her, you see, and she mentioned it. And I felt bad. I thought, well, my bad habit is impacting on my family. And that's a difference. Next picture, we're going to see this, I think a difference between a bad habit and an addiction is how difficult is it to stop, okay? And I'd say a bad habit, we can stop with some steady work. An addiction is, I don't know, it's like trying to break a diamond wall, you know. A real addiction is extremely difficult to stop, okay? But what we're offering in this DCI level, you and me, we all have addictions. Let's admit it. I also have. We have addictions that we've had for a long time. We have bad habits that we've had for a long time. They lower our quality of life. They hurt our family. They hurt the people we work with. And if somebody could come up with a new idea, a new ancient idea for removing addictions effectively and stopping bad habits effectively, wow, that would be so cool. And that's what DCI Level 6 is about. The last picture here, when we're talking about what's the difference between an addiction and a bad habit, I personally, from my own experience, you know, I've lived a long life. A big difference between an addiction and a bad habit is how good it feels when you stop it, okay? How wonderful you feel, and how much your life changes when you have the honesty to identify an addiction or a bad habit in your life and then you do the work, and we're going to teach you a new kind of work that is very powerful and fun. It's powerful and fun, which is, to me, that's how it should be. A powerful, fun way to stop your addictions and your bad habits. And either way, you're going to feel wonderful. To fight a bad habit, to fight an addiction, is a good war. And you feel great when you're fighting it. And then when you win, oh my gosh, you feel so clean and so happy and so different. And your life is just so wonderful, okay? So there's a little discussion about the difference between a bad habit and addiction. And in the next little video, we're kind of going to talk about how these bad habits kind of suck your energy out and how they kind of they lower your energy. So we got to think about that. All right, see you in the next little video.